Hello everyone. So we will answer this time the other problems that I have given you yesterday or Monday involving ellipse. So with our first problem, we are asked to find the equation of the ellipse with foci 0, positive and or negative 8, and eccentricity E is equal to 4/5. So first of all, we're given with the foci. If hindi nyo alam kung bakit siya nakasulat nito, just remember that this can be written as well as 0 and 8. And then yung other ordered pair natin is 0, negative 8. So take note, when we deal with ellipse, there are two focuses. And the plural for two focuses is foci. So ito yung first foci natin, second foci. And if you notice, 0 yung ating x-coordinate. And automatically, yung ellipse natin is vertical, wherein its center is at 0, 0. So, ayon yung condition ng ating vertical ellipse center at 0, 0. Yung foci niya kasi is 0, and then yung katabi dito, C. And then yung isa, 0, negative C. So, therefore, we can conclude something from our given despite the fact it's just the foci. The 8 here is our C. So, C is equal to 8. And from what I have discussed yesterday or Monday, dahil kailangan nyo ng C, yung A, yung B, at saka yung center natin para makuha yung equation of an ellipse. So, yun yung hahanapin muna natin, yung A, B. Yung H and K, yung center, alam naman natin na 0, 0. So, A and B yung ating problema. So, now, looking at the other given, yung eccentricity natin is 4/5. And the formula for eccentricity is E is equal to C over A. So, alam naman natin kung ano na yung eccentricity natin. So, we just have to change that to 4/5. And then, yung C naman natin is 8. At hindi pa natin alam yung A. So, in this equation, we only have A as unknown. So, there's a way for us to find what is A based from the eccentricity and the C coming from your foci. So, you just have to cross multiply. So, 4 times A is 4A. And then, 5 times 8 is 40. So, divide natin both sides by 4. You will get 10. So, meron na tayong A. Kulang na lang is B. So, remember, yung relations natin between A, B, and C, you can write it as C squared is equal to A squared minus B squared. And we can already find out what is B. Oh, if in case gusto nyo talaga yung original na binigay sa inyo sa PowerPoint, it is A squared. Okay na yan. Wag na lang, para hindi na kayo malito. So, yung C natin, again, is 8. And then, yung A naman natin is 10 minus B squared. So, siguro, mag-a-add tayo ng, ano ba yung gusto nyo? So, siguro, we'll be consistent on what we're doing in class, in which we have to isolate the B, wherever that is. So, since it's on the right, so we just have to leave B on the right. Okay? So, ayun, 8 squared. Then, meron 10 squared dito kasama sa B on the right side. So, we have to add a negative 10 squared here on the right as well as here on the left. And that will result to negative 10 squared plus 8 squared is equal to negative b squared. So yung 10 squared natin is 100. So take note, hindi naka-enclose sa parenthesis yung negative dito. So that means yung my exponent na 2 is only the 10. So that is your grade 7 lesson. Okay? So take note, be conscious enough about the meaning of putting a number inside the parenthesis with an exponent with it. So no parenthesis, meaning hindi kasali si negative, raised to a power of 2. So it's only the 10. So 10 squared is 100, then you put negative afterwards. Then 8 squared is 64. Then they have different signs now, so you need to subtract. 100 minus 64 is 36. And then, mas malaki yung value ng ating negative 100 compared to 64 if you base it from their absolute value. Absolute value ng negative 100 is 100. Absolute value of 64 is 64. 100 is greater than 64, so you follow the sign of 100. So, negative. And then, negative ito. So, we need to divide both sides by negative 1. So, ang mangyayari magiging b squared is equal to 36. And then, b is raised to a power of 2. So, we can get the square root of both sides to get what is b. So, b now is 6. So, we already have the b, we already have the center, we already have the c as well. So, we're now ready to make the equation. So, the equation of a vertical ellipse with the center at the origin, that is x squared over your b. So, yung b natin, okay, para kompleto na lang. Then, you can check your picture, yung pina-screenshot ko sa inyo during class. So, yung b natin is 6 at saka yung a natin is 10. So, this would be x squared over 36 plus y squared over 100 is equal to 1. Pwede din naman y squared over 100 plus x squared over 36 is equal to 1. Because yung usual na format na ginagawa natin, dapat mas malaki yung value sa denominator compared to this one in the second denominator. So, ganyan. This is our final answer. Oops. Hmm. Okay, ayan. Okay, let's proceed now to example 2. So we're asked here to rewrite the equation from general form to standard form, given the equation 4x squared plus 24x plus 25y squared minus 50y minus 39 is equal to 0. So yung gagawin natin, our target is to make sure that the left side will be factored completely, and then yung right side naman natin is 1 for us to find the standard form of the given equation. So, unang-una sa lahat, we will copy our equation here. It's 4x squared plus 24x plus 25y squared minus 50y minus 39. So, first of all, meron tayong term dito na walang variable. That means we need to add its opposite in both sides. So, ang mangyayari magiging negative 39 plus 39 is 0, but you need to do the same thing on the right. 0 plus 39 is 39. So, again, we just added a 39 in both sides. And then, next, i-group together mo yung mga terms na merong same variable using parentheses. And then, afterwards, you will notice that you can factor out each term here using the technique in grade 8, which is GCF, yung greatest common factor natin. So, yung greatest common factor ng two terms is is actually 4x, but since do we will do completing the square, or yes, completing the square after this. Okay, so baka nalito kayo kung bakit mag-completing the square tayo. Ganito kasi yan. Yung form natin sa standard form of equation of an ellipse, it has to be factored out using DOTS, or difference of two squares. And for now, if i-GGCF mo talaga siya completely, after that one, you cannot factor it anymore by dots. So, yung gagawin natin, hindi natin gagalawin si x squared at si x, but only the common factor of the 4 and 24. Yung goal natin is to make sure that the leading coefficient, yung katabi ni 1 ni x squared, must be 1 and not some other numbers. Okay? So, ayun, yung GCF na, yung factor natin, common factor is 4. And yung maiiwan is just x squared. And then here, from 24, it becomes 6x. Okay. And then, same here, wag niyong galawin si y. So, wag niyong kunin si dots. Kasi yung purpose kung bakit hindi natin siya gagalawin, our ultimate purpose is to factor it by using the difference of two squares. So, ayun, we can factor out the 25, and then y squared will be left here, and then dito magiging 2y. So again, yung ultimate goal natin is to factor it using dots. Ang problema ngayon is it's not factorable using dots. So if that's the case, yung grade 9 lesson natin, sinabihan tayo na para maging factorable using dots, magkukumpleting the square tayo. Okay? So ano yung mangyayari sa completing the square? So again, it's like saying we need to add a third, term in our group here. And you'll do the same thing in our second group, that we will add something else in here. But remember, whatever you do on the left, do on the right. So now to perform completing the square, okay, di ba? We have the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So yung gagawin natin, hanapin natin yung coefficient na may x lang or may variable lang. So pwedeng yung x, y, basta yung exponent ng variable is just a 1. So hindi itong katabi sa x squared, but yung katabi ng variable na may exponent na 1, yung coefficient niya. In our case here, yung coefficient natin is 6, nakatabi ng ating x. So yung gagawin natin is b divided by 2, and then afterwards you get to get its square. So kaya naman 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then 3 squared is 9. Okay? So yun ang i-add natin dito, but huwag kalimutan, gagawin nyo din siya sa kabila. But take note, outside the group, meron tayong 4. So, hindi lang 9 lang yung dinagdag natin. So, meron ding 4. So, dapat may 4 din dito. So, 4 times 9. So, just like this, if we distribute this, it will become 4 times 9. So, ganyan din sa right side. So, here naman, yung coefficient ng ating y is negative 2. So, yung gagawin naman, same process, negative 2, divide mo siya by 2, then square mo afterwards. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. But the square of negative 1 is a 1. So, ang i-add dito is 1. But since may 25 dito, so it's not just a 1, but a 25 times 1. So, ayun. So, we're able to rewrite the following. wherein it's already factorable by dots. So how do we know if it's factorable by dots? So remember, grade 8 again, this is x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. Okay? So dapat perfect square yung first term, perfect square yung yung third term, and then then yung middle term. Oh, sorry, this is just x, sorry. Ah, yes, yes, it's xy. Ako yung nalito sa ginawa ko. So anyway, xy ito, 2xy yan. Dapat yung square root ng ating x squared, dapat makita mo siya sa factor here in the second term. Yung square root din ng ating y squared is makikita mo din siya in the middle term. Okay. So kung titingnan natin itong x squared plus 6x plus 9, it's factorable using dots because the first place, yung first term kasi natin perfect square. Kasi x times x yun. Same with 9 because that's 3 times 3. So it's a perfect square. Then, if you get the square root of x squared, so x yun. Yung square root naman ng 9 is 3. Itong 6x, if you notice, yung factor niya is 2 times 3 times x. Yung 2, galing sa form. Yung 3, galing sa square root ng third term. And then, yung x naman galing sa square root ng first term. So, ayun. So, it's already factorable using dots. So, yung mangyayari, you just have to take your final answer when you factor this out. It's just the square of a binomial. And then, yung first term natin is the square root of the first term. And then, second term is the square root of the third term, yung 3. And then, yung operation sa gitna, it depends on the second term. So, plus ito, so plus din. So, ayun. I hope you can remember that from your grade 8. So, as I said, this is already factorable. So, 4 times quantity of x plus 3 quantity squared. Kasi, square root of x squared is x, then square root of 9 is 3. Then, plus kasi, plus 6x ito. So, plus. And then, dito naman, this is also factorable by dots. As long as you will perform completing the square, there's an assurance that it is factorable by dots. So that's a y because square root of y squared is y, square root of 1 is 1, and then this is a minus, so minus. Quantity squared. Ito naman, gamit lang kayo ng calcu. Okay, teka lang. Para makita nyo. Okay, so that would be 39 plus 4 times 9 plus 25 times 1. But 25 times 1 is just 25. So that's 100. And then, your next step, since it's already factored out using dots, yung 100 naman yung gagalawin natin. So take note, in an ellipse, the right side would always be 1. So we need to divide both sides with 100. So ito, yung first, teka lang, yung first group natin, magdi-divide tayo ng 100, 100 din dito. So we're actually performing MPE, properties of equality. So, kung tutusin, this will be cancelled out because they're just the same. So that will become 1. And then dito naman, yung 100 kasi natin, pwede natin siyang isulat as 25 times 4. And then itong 100 naman dito, pwede natin siyang isulat as um, 4 times, okay, pwede natin siyang isulat as 4 times 25. Then, makakancel out yung common sa numerator at denominator, which is the 4. Here, 25. So, yung matitira is the x plus 3 quantity squared over 25 plus y minus 1 quantity squared over 4. So there you go. That's our equation in standard form. We can also figure out what is a and b already. The a is yung square root ng ating 25. Yung b naman natin is yung square root ng 4. And then yung h naman natin is this one, yung katabi ni x, and it's a plus, so meaning negative 3. Yung k naman, since it's a minus, so just 1. Okay, let's proceed to problem 3 now. So take note, in problem 3, we're given with an object already, which is the NFL football. And it says that it's an ellipse. So approximately, it's 11 inches long and 7 inches wide. So we're asked to write an equation governing the elliptical longitudinal section. So isipin na lang natin, meron tayong bolang ganyan. Okay, that's how it looks like. So, ano yung, okay, sorry kung pangit yung drawing ko. Okay, yan. Yes na. So, ito, yung sinabi sa problem natin, 11 inches long. So, meaning, 11 is longer than a 7. So, yan yung ating major axis. Okay? So, ito, it is 11 inches long, which is our length of major axis. And then, yung 7 naman is our minor axis. So, we're talking about length of both. So, as we all know, length of major axis, you can get it by using 2a. So, alam naman natin na yung major axis natin is 11, so we can just equate it with 2a and yung 11 natin. So, get the a, it's 11 over 2. Or 5.5. And then, yung length ng ating minor axis is 2b, in which we're given that it's 7. So, b is equal to 7 halves, or b is equal to 3.5. So, ayun. And then, it would be easier. Again, just like before, every time we deal with word problem, it's easier if we put the ellipse in the origin as our center. So, yung ginawa natin, by the way, nasa center siya. So, ayun. Yung h and k natin is at 0, 0. So, yung equation ng ating ellipse is just x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared is equal to 1. And a squared is 5.5. B is 3.5. So, 5.5. Sige. 5.5. Dito gamit tayo ng calcu. 5.5 squared. In decimal, it's 30.25 plus y squared over 3.5. In decimal, it's 12.25 is equal to 1. And there you go. Yung last example naman natin about the sports field. So, a high school wants to build a football field surrounded by an elliptical track. So, a regulation football field must be 120 yards long and 30 yards wide. So, isipin nyo na lang, um, may rectangle tayo, may ellipse tayo, kasi this is what we usually see in a football field. May ellipse and then merong rectangle sa loob. Okay? So yung standard ng ating football field, yung ito na yung ito, this part, okay? It has to be 120 yards. And then ito naman, it has to be 30 yards. Okay? So yan yung parang condition ng regulation football field natin. So, meron tayong situation now. So, let's say, ito yung sa FEY school. So, suppose the elliptical track is centered at the origin. Okay. So, isipin nyo na lang, ito yung standard. Yung standard football field na binigay. And ito yung sa FEU High School. So, same condition, merong ellipse. Oops. Meron tayong ellipse. And then, meron tayong rectangle sa loob. So, it says that uh, yung elliptical track is centered at the origin. So, meron tayong coordinate plane wherein yung center ng ating ellipse is at 0, 0. And then, yung horizontal major axis natin is 150 yards. So, ibig sabihin, from here to here, yan, that is 150 yards. And then, yung minor axis ng ating ellipse from here to here, and that is 40 yards. Okay, so yung first task natin, we're asked to find the equation of the ellipse given to us. So, we can actually get the A and the B already. We know that 150 yards is our major axis because it's longer than the 40. So, 2A is equal to 150 yards. A yung major axis natin. So, divide by 2, that's 75. And then, kasunod naman, yung minor axis natin is 40. Then, divide by 2 to get what is B. Magiging 4. Wait. Magiging 20 pala. 20. So, alam naman natin na yung center nilagay talaga sa origin. So, yung H and K natin is 0, 0 lang. So, that would give us x squared over 75 squared plus y squared over 20 squared equals 1. So, 75 squared is 5,625. And then, yung 20 squared naman natin, 400. So, we already figure out the answer for A. Okay, now let's continue with B. So we're asked to find the width of the track at the end of the field. Itong sa FEU High School ha, hindi sa standard yung binigay sa atin na condition ng regulation football field. Kasi alam naman natin na yung wideness niya is 30 yards. So, afterwards, just a follow-up question. Will the track completely enclose the football field? Okay. So, meaning niyan, we have to compare our width to our standard because this is the condition. Okay? So, pag inida natin i-check kung tama ba yung football field natin compared to the standard. So, hanapin muna natin yung width ng ating track at the end of the field. So, ibig sabihin, ito. Ayan. Okay. So, yung gagawin natin, okay, this is similar to the problem that we encountered regarding tunnel. Okay? So, para maging mas madali, um, yung endpoint ng ating rectangle or yung parang field natin is part of the ellipse. And alam naman natin na from here to here, okay, from here to here, okay, so kung titingnan natin, siguro for sure, it's given that this is 120 yards ito. Mm, from here to here. It's already given that this is already 120 yards from the problem. And then, kung titingnan natin yung half naman, half lang ng ating 120 yards, that would be 60. So, ibig sabihin, yung coordinate dito, okay, yung coordinate dito is 60 and then 0. And then, hindi pa natin alam. Okay. Pero, yung hindi natin alam dito is actually a representation of the height from here to here only. So, for you to really identify the whole width of the field, you still have to multiply at 2 afterwards. So, there you go. So, since itong point na to, part ng ellipse natin, pwede lang natin siya i-substitute. Okay. Pwede lang natin siyang i-substitute saying that if x is equal to 60, so magiging 60 squared over 5,625 plus y squared over 400 is equal to 1. So, simplify lang natin yan. So, using calculator, first, walang y dito. So, we need to add 60 squared over 5,625 in both sides. Okay, yes, negative. So, mangyayari, yung matitira is just y squared over 400, pero magiging minus 60 squared over 5,625. So, again, we just subtracted 60 squared over 5,625 in both sides to maintain the equality of the equation. And then, next, um, meron pa tayong 400 sa baba. So, we still have to multiply a 400 in both sides. Whatever you do on the left, do on the right. Oops. 5, 6, 2, 5. Okay, ayun. And then, maka-cancel out yung 400. Yung matitira is just y squared. Then dito, gamit lang kayo ng calcu. So, quantity 1 minus 60 squared over 5,625 close parenthesis times 400. So, 144. And then, pagkatapos niyan, to find what is y, you still have to get the square root of both sides. Square root ng ating 144 is 12. So, ayun. Ito yung width natin from here to here. But take note, meron pang sa baba para makumpleto natin yung width ng ating field. So, we still have to multiply it with a 2. So, oops. Yung width of the track field you can get it by multiplying 12 with a 2. By 2 half kasi meron pang sa baba. Dito lang kasi yung kinonsider natin, itong kulay yellow. So 12 times 2, 24. Okay. Now, nasagot na natin, it's 24 yards. And now, yung question is, will the track completely enclose the football field? So you will look at now the standard that we have a while ago. So ano yung dapat dito? 30 yards. Pero 24 yards lang ito. So yung sagot is no. Kasi meron pa tayong kulang na 6 yards. So that it will really follow yung standard natin sa regulation for football fields. You know, since it lacks 6 yards. Kasi kailangan 30.